Good afternoon, guys. Today is Thursday, November 5th. We're going to be going through some charts today. We're going to look at the S&P 500, the Qs, the IWM, the XLF, and we'll take a look at a few fundamental things to go over. Welcome. This is Patrick, and you're trading with Prime. First thing I want to talk about is the Discord. If you guys are new to the channel, again, welcome. Feel free to go to rtbtrading.com and sign up for the alerts as well as the trading community. Anyway, now on to the action here. What we were looking at is last week we were in some calls, and I'm going to kind of go over the charts here in a second. And coming into the beginning of the week, we were talking about Monday and Tuesday. Closing out the long positions and just kind of sitting back and seeing what happens. By the way, don't take any of these trades. They're no longer relevant. In fact, you will most likely lose out on them. In fact, some of them might be expired by now, the expiration dates. But looking at today, we try to go long on the S&P 500. And again, for those of you who are new to the channel, we have an alert service. There's the option alerts. There are the stock alerts by our friend Darkwing Duck. And then we have Kindred Bot. Again, don't take any of these trades. They're no longer relevant. Just to give you a little bit of examples of what we are looking at. And then, of course, we have the premium chat, which I'm not going to go into right now. But great community. Check it out. Now, off with the commercial here. First, actually, I want to go take a look at some of the fundamental things we're looking at. And right now, I just pulled up on the very first screen that I see, and I'm kind of scrolling down through here. And you see right now, Biden is in the lead, 264 electoral votes. Donald Trump, 214. I think it's going to come down to Nevada. We'll see. I think Trump needs a few more states here, plus possibly even Nevada. And I heard some news coming out about some of the other states that were left over. So we'll see as far as a presidential election. Let's think of it like this. A lot of people are wondering why it is that the market is up if Biden is in the lead. And I'm going to go to the next thing right now. This is the Senate race. So I'm not really paying too much attention to the Senate race, although if the idea is that if the Republicans keep if they keep the majority in the Senate, not a lot of legislation will come through as far as the new president coming into office. If he is the new president coming into the office, there's not going to be a lot of legislation going through, especially with the House. House being mainly Democrats, and so you would need a lot of work to be done. And in these politics, I'm not sure a lot of work gets done either way, even if you had all three being controlled by one party. But these are things that people are kind of looking at. Now, we'll see what happens. We'll see who actually takes it. One thing I will note, though, so as far as Biden's tax policies that come through, maybe it's not so well for the stock market or the country, or maybe it will be good for the country. I don't know. I'm not into politics too much as far as the trading is concerned. I just want to know policies will be important at a certain point, and things will change. There are executive orders, so we have to be mindful of that in the different arenas and different sectors. We have to be cautious of that. And so now, just going back to the chart here, if I look back on the charts here, first thing that you'll notice, I'm going to go over to MJ because we entered long here a few days ago. And so it's looking pretty good. And the reason why we went long on MJ is because, of course, Kamala Harris, apologize if I'm pronouncing her name wrong. Anyway, there's the idea that more legislation could come through, could come to light. But again, any laws that get passed, you're going to need all three branches, or you're going to need the presidential sign off, but you're also going to need the House and the Senate, not all three branches, but all three areas. So that's why we went long on MJ. There's different areas you can look at. And so if you're looking at maybe the travel sector, or maybe things like airlines might not do as well, but maybe other different areas will do better depending on what president comes into office or whether Trump keeps the office. So that's something to kind of look at. Right now I'm going to go to S&P 500. Another thing you guys could check out are things like gun stock. So like, let's say, just think outside of the box here. So if Biden takes the office, or if he gets elected and he's the new president, people might be buying more guns because they know it's a certain amount of time is going to pass by before possibly they're not allowed to buy the same kinds of guns, or there might be some restrictions, more restrictions in place. And again, executive orders do carry a lot of weight, so we have to be mindful of those kind of areas. And then of course things like the Green New Deal or any kind of green environmental things that come out. We have to think of, okay, how's that going to impact the shares that we have. And I think we have XOM. We have a lot of different areas, but we have to be mindful of this. So this might not be great for even our dividend stocks like XOM. It might not be great for that. So we have to be cautious of this. Keep an eye on it because these things can change really fast. Now, that was all the housekeeping. Let's get straight into the technical analysis. And by the way, feel free to like the video if you've gained value out of the video. Leave a comment into the comment section and let me know if you guys agree, if you disagree with that overall fundamental analysis. Also, if you can think of anything any types of sectors or things in the market that companies might do well, other companies maybe they won't do so well, put that in the comment section. We do want to see that. I see right now after hours we're at the SPY is at 351.01 and the closing price on S&P 500 was, or the SPY was 350.24. So just taking a look at this right now, the first few things that we noticed, again, what was everyone thinking around this time period back here? While we were going long, most people thought that this was going to collapse and fall through. Of course, we had some more support down here, the 200 period moving average. A lot of reasons to go long, but especially at the breakout. The problem is we were coming into an election. So carrying these from Monday, Tuesday, carrying these over till current price, I know it feels like for a lot of traders who feel like they are missing this action right here when we were closing out our positions the last couple days. Be very careful because just like all the traders thought the market was going to collapse at this time period back here, a lot of traders are out there buying calls thinking that the market's just going to fly through these areas, although it could fly through these areas, and that's something that we are definitely going to watch. I don't know if I want to be a buyer of this market, and we were looking at this wedge pattern right here. I don't know if I necessarily would want to be a buyer, and also horizontal resistance in here. Do we want to be buyers when the market has been going straight up for several days now? We can count these candles, for the last 5 days, at least 5 days. Do we want to be buyers, swing traders at this point? As far as I'm concerned, no. But what I'm looking for is some sort of breakout, back test, and then if we can resume off of that price area, that would be a good area to lean in. But then again, it would be nice to really see more of some sideways movement, possibly a pullback before being buyers. Don't necessarily want to be buying it when the market's going straight up. That's something I'll keep an eye out for. We'll see what happens, but just like people thought the market was going to collapse here, up here is the area that people think that the market is just going to rally forever, and they're having a little bit of FOMO. Trust me when I say this, there's always opportunities to buy this market. We don't have to step in right now and be buyers. We can just let the dust settle a little bit. If I go down to intraday time frame and let me turn off extended hours. So intraday time frame, as you can see, we're in this large bullish. That's right, you guys heard me right. This is bullish consolidation, and the only way that this consolidation breaks down to being bearish is if we get below the rising trend. So if I do this, and if I zoom back out here, this is bullish. This price action is bullish. However, it doesn't mean I want to be a buyer at the highs, at the resistance up here. I would want a pullback, like back down towards 340. And if the buyers can regain control, something like that. Or if it broke out and then pulled back and back tested or consolidated for a few days, maybe even a week, maybe even take a look at this in a week from now. But this overall pattern here is bullish, and it's kind of why we wanted to go long down here at the bottom of the the wedgish pattern. So let's go to the Qs. Qs, we kind of see a similar thing going on in the Qs. If I zoom in just like this, and if I expand it a little bit, you see it's a little bit different on the Qs. Maybe we're trying to break out right now in the Qs. It's possible. If I look at the after hour sessions, we're at 295.21. So we're up a little bit more than we were, during the trading session. Same kind of thing goes. You do have resistance coming across like this, horizontal resistance. So you got to be very careful buying this extended price action. And again, just because it's extended doesn't mean that it won't continue higher. It just means that when the pullback does come, it's going to be pretty violent. And due to that reason, I don't want to step in and be a buyer at this point. So also, it's an election. Anything can happen. And yes, when one or the other candidate gets, when it's more known, which I don't know when it will be, but it could be this week, it could be next Friday, it could be in 2 months from now after all the court process is over. We'll find out who actually will win the office of the president. So let's look at the IWM. And by the way, I go over the Qs. That includes most of the stocks that are in the NASDAQ, so keep that in mind. Now, the IWM is a little bit different. It was lagging a little bit. We saw a pullback last couple days. It's beginning to rally now. I put this in the Discord earlier, and the price target that I had for the IWM was around 167. So we'll see if that actually plays out. We're getting to a point now where maybe you could begin to draw a wedge in here. And I would like to see if you were going to trade the wedge pattern to the downside, if it broke through, it would possibly be waiting for that actual breakthrough, maybe back test and then sell off. That's usually the best time. Or the other option is waiting for this to actually get up to 167. And the reason why I say this, and not that I want to stand in front of a freight train, do I want to be a seller at this point? I'm waiting for a gap fill. It's around this 167 area. That, if you look at this as a larger time frame trading, you can kind of see why it might be a good short trade, but then again, it can just as easily fly right through that, hit the all-time highs. It was 173.39. Anything is possible. One thing's for sure, the reversal candle we saw last week, the weekly print, that reversal candle, the highs were a good shorting area, which was around 161. Since we are way above that, it's possible that tomorrow we're back below that price area. It's possible, but not as likely. The closer we get to 167, the less likely it is that we are going to fall back below this 161 area by tomorrow close. Again, tomorrow is the end of the week, so let's keep an eye on this weekly chart. That goes for all of the charts. Let's keep an eye on the weekly close and see if there's any kind of trade setting up for the longer, the bigger picture perspective. The XLF, we noticed that the XLF was a little bit, you know, this was a down move. We've had some, it bottomed here, and then we just been trading sideways. It's starting to look more and more bullish, but every time we think it's more and more bullish, it ends up turning around and selling off. That's something to be mindful of, that this could be a large pattern that goes like this. That's something to watch. At this point, I would think it would be a pretty big and pretty significant black swan event for the XLF just to sell off and complete this pattern with, if you had this down move, this consolidation, and then this down move again. And that includes most of the banks that are in the XLF. Try to look for the financial sector. And with the XLF, we know that the casinos, resorts, the airlines, travel, think of stocks that are in those areas because they do like to trade with maybe not the same magnitude each day, but they like to trade alongside the XLF. So those are some names we like to watch. As far as policies go, which person is going to take office, I'm not sure that it matters so much. I'm sure it does. I'm sure there's something that we can find. But this is a bigger time frame. This is the weekly chart, of course. And I don't know. To me, it's starting to look like it wants higher and higher prices. Maybe it wants this 26.69 area. Maybe it wants this 25.78 area. But again, that is the weekly chart. Let's go down to the daily time frame. The daily time frame, same thing. Maybe it looks like it's gearing up for higher prices. Maybe it wants this 25.30. There's going to be some resistance around there. One thing that I do notice with the XLF is that we are back above all three moving averages. So as long as we can stay above all three moving averages, this chart is definitely more bullish than it is bearish. But then again, we've traded back and forth in between the moving averages so many times now that I'm not so sure I put a lot of weight into them. As far as the moving averages acting as some sort of support and resistance, I'm not so convinced. And let's go to the intraday time frame just to wrap this video up. And you can see here, just right now, just looking at this, if for any reason we start breaking out above this, it's a pretty wide zone. And if I did this, and if you have resistance in this area, if at any point we can get above this zone, that is a huge move to the upside, because you have to think it came from 1749. So we could do some sort of measured move. Let's say this was the channel in here, and let's say we measured from the bottom of the channel, and I'll actually give you a price. I'm not saying that this would happen all in one day. I mean, of course, this would take some time. $9.19. So if I measured it off the lows down here, if I said roughly $9, let's say we did it somewhere over here, that would put us just up at around the all-time, well, I don't know if they're all-time highs, but $31 roughly. Let's go to the weekly charting. I want to see what the all-time highs, 31.38. Let me do the max month just because I'm curious here. And it still looks like we have 31.38. So that would be roughly the all-time highs once again. We'll see what happens. In fact, now that I pulled the monthly chart, something I noticed here, now this price action looks a little bit more bearish to me than it did bullish on the lower time frames. And if I zoom in here, you'll see what I'm talking about and see how it's much more pronounced now. You have this huge sell-off, and this looks like a dead cat bounce, kind of consolidation for another move down. I would not trade it that way, but that's what it kind of looks like. We're tightening up here. We're getting ready for a move. It could be in the next couple months, we're going to see a move either to the upside or to the downside. I know I did that backwards, but either to the upside or the downside. So this video was long. I just want to get this out to you guys, and so you could have another look at it. Let me know what you think. Again, like the video if you've gained value. Check it out, rtbtrading.com. Leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Have a good day.